What is happening, guys? It's your boy TC back with another video. So on a rainy, soggy day in North London, it was a very disappointing result. We were extremely wasteful, even though we really did have one or two shots on target throughout the whole game. But we'll talk about that shortly. So let's talk about the team selection. So in terms of the team selection, when the team was announced, I was initially happy with the selection itself. We did put out the team that potentially could have matched Tottenham. The formations were pretty much identical in terms of the one Tottenham put out as well as the one we actually started the game with. So in goal we had Petr Cech as usual. At right back we had Hector Bellerin. In the middle of defence it was Koscielny, Mustafi and Nacho Monreal returned to the left back position. So Wenger went with the three across midfield, and that was in the form of Jack Wilshere, Granit Xhaka as well as Mohamed El-Neni. Up top we saw Mkhitaryan as well as Aubameyang and Ozil, who started off wide right, but eventually throughout the whole game he was sort of drifting in towards the middle of the pitch. So let's talk about the first half really. So I thought within the first half itself we did certainly match Tottenham. We sort of cancelled each other out between ourselves and Tottenham, and there was one good chance really, and that was Aubameyang's chance. It was put through by Jack Wilshere. It was a fantastic chance, and they are doubts to say that he was onside. I have had a look at it again, and you can argue it's just his shoulder was slightly just leaning a bit forward beyond the line, but you can certainly argue that he was onside. But I believe in karma. This is karma from last week. So that goal didn't obviously happen. It didn't count. But apart from that, the first half was really a head-to-head. We're sort of still sussing each other out. Essentially, the first half wasn't that exciting. So let's talk about Mkhitaryan really within the first half. He was absolutely atrocious. I don't know what the contrast is from last week, but he was extremely poor in my opinion. He wasn't tracking back. He was obviously playing out wide left, and he wasn't providing Nacho Monreal with a lot of help. He was naturally just drifting into the centre of the pitch. If the ball was switched onto the other side, the side he's meant to be marking, you were finding that he was trying to make up a gap in terms of the distance between himself with Tottenham's winger or their right back. But in terms of his passing was off. There's one point when he tried to do a cross. On two occasions he tried to put in crosses, and they were really poor. I'm not too sure what it was. Maybe the game was oversold to him in the sense that he was feeling the pressure, but he was really poor. So we did end up seeing him coming off in the second half. In the second half it started off absolutely terrible. So Tottenham were obviously came out the blocks. They were on us. They were applying a lot of pressure within the second half, and just before the goal was scored, Petr Cech was sort of dilly-dallying around with the ball, and Kane nearly closed him down, but he just about managed to clear his lines, and that's just about a minute before the goal was scored. And at that point when the goal was scored, we obviously lumped it up front, as we was pretty much for the majority of the game. The ball came out on the left-hand side, so our right-hand side where Bellerin was. At that point Ozil had sort of drifted a bit inwards, and I believe that cross from Davies should have been cut out with those three players sitting in front of the defence. They were all playing a bit compact, a bit narrow, and Davies found himself in a lot of space with a lot of time to swing across in. And what a brilliant header from Kane. Unfortunately, I have to say that it was a good header. Our defence were crying foul. There was apparently a foul on Koscielny, but I believe he didn't time his jump well. He was just hitting the back, and he seemed to have fallen over, and at that point the ball was in the back of the net, and they should have stood firm. There was about 2 or 3 players around Kane, and he sort of just drifted in on the far post, and he headed the ball into the back of the net. At that point I thought, well, we could still get a draw out of this game, and we didn't create enough chances. Unfortunately, we did not create enough chances. So it's roughly at about 89 minutes, and we had 4 shots on goal, and we only had 1 on target. That's really bad. Our away form, again, atrocious. We've gone away, we've lost, and this time again it's a bit more painful due to the fact that it's to our bitter rivals, but it's extremely unacceptable, the performance that was put forward. We just did not take our chances. In terms of creativity, Jack Wilshere slid through a couple of good balls throughout the whole match. Here you could tell that he was showing a bit of passion. He was trying to close things down. He was running with the ball. He was trying to put through some nice neat little passes. In particular towards the end he put one through for Danny Welbeck, but Danny Welbeck was switched off, couldn't latch onto the ball. And we do have to talk about the 2 chances Lacazette had at the end of the game. So this could have been, one, his revival, and two, he could have basically just redeemed himself in the face of Wenger in terms of him justifying his starting spot. So the first chance that he had late on into the game was a cross from Hector Bellerin, beautiful cross, loads of time, and he decides to volley it with his side foot. He could have took it down and just tucked it in, but unfortunately the ball was blazing over the net, and it was a wasted chance in my opinion. And then the second chance, it was a through ball from Iwobi, and it's a brilliant through ball. He sort of confused the two Tottenham defenders. He found himself sneaking through in behind them, and he took it on his right foot. Again, terrible chance, and you could see that on Wenger's face and the reaction Wenger gave at that particular time. You could tell that should have certainly been a goal, but Lacazette wasted it, and in my opinion, he could have certainly redeemed himself, got himself onto the first team sheet. Aubameyang had a fairly quiet game. I would have expected slightly a bit more from him, but he seemed extremely isolated up top by himself. A lot of the action was being played within the midfield itself, and he found that his chances were limited. Ozil had a fairly quiet game. One player I did notice really who had a decent game was Hector Bellerin outright, and he did have a decent game. He kept Son in his pocket during the first half, and during the second half he got in a couple of good crosses, in particular the one, as I mentioned, the Lacazette one, but he worked extremely hard during the whole game. El Neni, again, he did put in a decent shift in my opinion, but apart from that, it was a very lackluster performance from the team. So as usual guys, please do let me know what you think in the comments below. If you are watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, please do make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. So once again guys, it's your boy TC from I'm Gonna Talk TV, and I'm out.